What is up guys, Andy Forest Team Runner here, and today we're going through my top speed shoes of 2020. So welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be diving into the world of my speed shoes that I've purchased during 2020. Now by definition, when I say speed shoes, these are the shoes that I've bought with the purpose of running fast in. Workout shoes, basically anything that I had the intent of buying and saying I want that shoe because I'm going to use it for intervals, fartleks, tempos, you name it, any form of long run workout, any form of speed work, these shoes were bought with intent. And then at the end, like we did with the Daily Trainer video, we'll cover some of the shoes that didn't make the list because they weren't bought with that purpose in mind, but ended up being used for that purpose, if that makes sense. If you're excited for today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll start with the first shoe. And we'll kick things off with the New Balance Fuel Cell TC, the ultimate long run workout shoe. Now for me personally, as soon as this thing was advertised, I knew I wanted this shoe and it had my name written all over it. You guys know, if you follow the channel for a while, just how much I love a good long run workout, and this thing ticks that box. It has been an absolute warrior when it comes to those long run workouts, and I've recently brought it back into my rotation. You may have seen the return of the TC video just recently, moving this thing up to the 200 mile mark. I absolutely love this shoe, albeit the price is astronomical. Absolutely no need for the shoe to be £180. It's no better than any of the others. Well, it is better than some of the others that we're about to talk about, but it shouldn't be up there in the bracket of racing shoes. It should certainly come down a notch. I personally feel the Endorphin Speed at £155 is relatively pricey, but I'm happy to pay it because it's such a great shoe. This thing should be a little bit less than that, in my opinion, but thankfully when I bought it, I managed to get a discount, so I didn't quite pay the full retail price for it. That aside, it's been a phenomenal shoe for me. It's done multiple long run workouts and it handles things great. An aggressive plate, beautiful fuel cell foam, the combination of those two lends itself to being the perfect next percent training partner. And moving swiftly on to the New Balance Fresh Foam Tempo, a shoe that I was happy with, but I think we'll leave it there. There's a lot of room for improvement in this shoe. For me personally, it all boils down to weight. Let's dive in as to why I didn't find this thing quite as good as some of the others. This is a shoe that I bought at the beginning of summer. If you guys don't know, I like to get 2 new daily trainers, 2 new speed shoes, and if I'm feeling lucky, maybe even invest in a racing shoe every 4 months of the year. So I get myself a new rotation every 4 months. This was the first speed shoe I got of my summer block, so I got January to April, and I bought these things in May. Despite them being released in February, I love the look of them, I like the idea of them, and sadly they didn't quite live up to what I hoped they would be. For me in New Balance, I have to go 13.5 because they do 12.5, 13.5, 14.5, and when I ordered the 13.5s, they were on the small side, so I ended up having to go a size 14 UK and a half, which meant the length was perfect, but the width was too big and there was a lot of baggy material along the top. So instantly the fit wasn't quite as dialed in as I wanted it to be. However, having said that, it was still a very, very good shoe. It was relatively nimble. The thing that lets this shoe down, in my opinion, is it's the Fresh Foam X midsole. Now, Fresh Foam is one of my favorite midsoles, but I would not class it as the most responsive midsole out there. Certainly not a shoe I think you can do a lot of speedier miles in. The 1080 version 10 was a phenomenal daily trainer, easy day shoe because of how soft and cushioned the Fresh Foam X is, but I never find it to be the most responsive. I don't get much of a bounce back when I'm running in this shoe, and due to the lower stack height in the forefoot, I certainly never felt like I was being propelled forward. I really had to work for each step. So although it was nice not to run in a plated shoe and run in a shoe that made me work for the miles, it certainly didn't give me that spring back that maybe I was looking for. So moving on from a very average shoe to something rather exceptional, the Brooks Hyperion Tempo for me has been an absolute gem this year. Managed to get my hands on a pair. They were sold out for quite a while. They restocked, and thankfully Thankfully, I got a pair in the height of the pandemic. I had to wait quite a while to get them. Delivery was nearly a month, but they were so worth the wait. Managed to get them in the summer months, and they're everything the New Balance Fresh Foam Tempo were not. Despite this shoe not having a plate, it was absolutely an incredible ride. This was responsive exactly how I wanted it, because I love shoes without a plate and I want to predominantly train in shoes without a plate, but I am sometimes looking on those speedier days for something a little bit more responsive, and this thing gives it. That's partly down to a bit of a bigger stack height in the forefoot, so when I'm putting that pressure through the midfoot and push off the forefoot, I've got a bit more cushion to give me that spring. But the DNA Flash midsole in this thing is absolutely exceptional, and to be honest with you, this is possibly one of the shoes, getting it to 100 miles, where the midsole looks the least worn out of any shoe. I found no degradation in performance, in the way it looks, anything after 100 miles. This is a shoe that I really am regretting not putting in my video a few weeks back, where I said there's going to be some shoes that I want to take over 100 miles, because actually, I'm going to be completely honest with you, this is a shoe I'd love to pick back up and put some more miles in. I think not only is this thing £140, so it is on the pricey side, I think you're going to get bang for your buck, because I believe the durability in this shoe is going to be through the roof. Overall, absolutely delighted with the purchase of the Hyperion Tempo. And moving on to the penultimate shoe, the Saucony Endorphin Speed. Do I need to say anything more about this shoe? This is the best in the video that you are seeing right now. This is my favourite speed shoe of 2020. There is nothing this shoe can't handle. The only reason I didn't include this, and I think I said this in my comments to a few of you in the Daily Trainers video, which was the last video, the only reason I didn't include this was because although I can run easy in this shoe, it's not a shoe that I would particularly reach for those easy and recovery days. Everything else this shoe handles with aplomb, and let me tell you something, this has been an absolute revelation for me this year. The nylon plate in this shoe is obviously very minimal. You barely feel it. You notice it if you have the Pro. You guys will know what I mean if you have the Pro and the Speed. You can still feel that same geometry, that same feeling of the rocker underneath your foot where the plate is, but you obviously don't have the aggressiveness that the Pro gives you. So it's a lot more subtle, it's a lot more kinder on your feet, and that Power and PB midsole is out of this world. For me, there is not a shoe this year that's handled speed better than this shoe. And I've got to say, this is going to be a very, well, it's going to give the Nova Blast a good run for its money when we come to the Running Shoe Awards later this month for Shoe of the Year. If you disagree with me, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it, but this shoe is absolutely out of this world. And finally, we'll finish on the Hoka One One Rocket X. Yes, this is a racing shoe, but I'm going to be honest with you, I absolutely love it for the speed work that I've done in it previously, and it's a shoe that I'm going to be incorporating into my running routine a little bit more regularly than what I would include some of my other racing shoes. Now, if you guys remember some of my videos from a few weeks back, the question was asked, is this an expensive training shoe or a cheap racing shoe? You might think I'm going back on my word, because I said it was a cheap racing shoe by including it in this video to talk of it as a training shoe, but I still do stand by the fact that this is a great cheap alternative for a racing shoe. However, I also have to say that it is so comfortable that I cannot wait to log more miles in this shoe. I do have a feeling that running in too many plated shoes of recent has aggravated my plantar fasciitis. That's now all gone, thankfully, so I will be getting back out in some plated shoes maybe once a week over the coming weeks, and this shoe will certainly be one of them along with the TC. But I have to say, the comfort and the smoothness of the ride in this shoe just lends itself to those long run workouts. I'm going to be doing a more detailed video on my training in the next video you'll see on the channel, and explain what training we're doing moving forward, because sadly the 10K training series is going to have to come to an end due to this injury. But we'll be moving into a different type of training where this thing will hopefully come in to its element. So let's move on to some of the noticeable absentees from this list. The Nova Blast, which obviously is not a speed shoe in the slightest, was used for so much speed work this year for me. But as I said, I haven't included that shoe because I did not purchase it with the intent of doing speed work in it. However, I'm going to give it an honourable mention because it's handled speed work beautifully. that flight foam bast, you know the deal. Let's not waste any more time. Incredible shoe. The Rincon, again, I actually on this occasion last year I bought it for the intention of speed. This year I didn't. I bought it in the intention of a daily trainer to kind of do a little bit of everything. And as I said in my Rincon 2 after 100 miles video, I've actually found myself reaching for that shoe on more of the easy and recovery days, which is interesting and complete opposite to how I used the Rincon version 1 the previous year. But again, I have done some speedier work in that shoe and I have really enjoyed it. So let me know in the comments below which shoe you've ended up buying for the purpose of speed this year and has absolutely excelled, and maybe the one that maybe hasn't done so great. Or did you not buy a shoe for the purpose of speed and found it absolutely phenomenal, just like the New Balance Fuel Cell Prism? For me, again, that's another notable absentee from the video, another one that I didn't buy for the purpose of speed but ended up being so lightweight and amazing that I used it for more stuff. One notable absentee from this video for me is the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel, a shoe that you guys, or most of you guys, absolutely love for that speed work. Firm, responsive, and a very quick and nimble ride. Something that I'm going to be looking at for the version 2 leading into 2021. You guys raved about it and I do not want to miss out on version 2. Any others I missed? Let me know in the comments below and let's get that discussion going. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Until then.